Hey, you guys. If you're here, you usually will know who I am. I'm Suzanne Tidkemeyer. I wrote for Pathos for nearly 10 years, a column called No Longer Quivering, about the evangelical quiverful movement and about evangelicalism and sometimes fundamentalism in general. The reason that I'm uploading this today instead of going live is YouTube was not letting me go live. I was getting error messages left and right. And then I started thinking, and I thought, well, what I have to say today would actually fit better with an upload anyway than a live stream. Yesterday I cut off my live stream because my husband had been having jaw pain and I had to take him to the doctor. I did. He has a fracture in his jaw, and we don't really have any real idea how that happened. He had been complaining about jaw pain ever since getting a massage the other day. He frequently will do this. But if you go back to our original leaving fundamentalism story and our story about mental health and how it's treated in fundamentalist religious evangelical type churches, you'll understand that he didn't have anything wrong with him except that he had a parathyroid tumor. He had hyperparathyroidism, which was driving his less than happy thoughts. And he had it for a number of years. And one of the things that hyperparathyroidism does is it drains your body of calcium. So here we are. He's 70 years old. He had hyperparathyroidism for some years. And now he's had two fractures. He's had this one here. He had the one on his shoulder. He fell off a 2 foot high step ladder, like almost 3 years ago, and broke his shoulder and had to have multiple surgeries for that. So we're sitting on pins and needles right now, waiting to see if he has to have further surgery. Our doctor, our lovely little doctor, I call baby doctor because his older brother is my neurologist, who's turned out to be an excellent doctor for his young age. I'm going to say that. He always asks me about my asthma plan, and we go over all the drugs and everything when I see him. Most of the doctors up there are not that thorough. He is thorough, and I appreciate that. I'm a thorough person about medical things, at least. So he has explained to us that, yesterday we spent the entire day running to Liberia, to the hospital San Rafael, Archangel San Rafael, to get a CT scan of his head after they had run the x-ray and discovered the fracture. We're waiting to hear back what the decision is, because the way baby doctor had explained it yesterday, he would have to, there's like a couple of different options they could do. One of them is to put an orthopedic appliance that holds his jaw in place so it heals, that he would take off when he would need to eat and put right back on. That's the least likely invasive one. They could also do that old thing where they used to wire your jaw shut. He's missing a couple of teeth because of dental misadventures and problems like mine. And if they do that, at least he doesn't have to have a hole drill to stick the straw in. But I can hardly imagine either one of those options, because this is a man that loves to talk, that's gregarious, that is very outgoing. He is the extrovert to my introvert. So I can just imagine how horrific it would be if he could not talk. The other option that they're talking is surgery, and I don't want that one. I'm not looking forward to jaw wired shut. So I have all of my fingers crossed, toes crossed, everything crossed, hoping it's the first one, the orthopedic appliance. We could cope with that. It wouldn't be great, but we could cope with that. So why am I telling you all of this in great detail? Because I want you to understand where I'm coming from. Last week I had possibly the worst asthma I've ever had here because of the volcanoes erupting near Liberia. So, apparently volcanic ash is something that goes on the super allergic list now. So it was a really bad week last week, and a little bit the week before, and some of this week. It's been hard. The asthma's been bad. For a while, I was very upset over the Piggly Wigglies issuing a fatwa, trying to get somebody to come here to Costa Rica to kick my butt, until I realized nobody's willing to do that for the Piggly Wigglies, number one. Number two, finding me in one of the 10,000 little villages around Tamarindo would be damn near impossible, where the directions are shit like stuff like turn right where the horse died 3 years ago. Those are the kind of directions we have here. Go past the dog, where the dogs are. Go past where the old man sells the fruit. So it's all kinds of crazy, goofy directions. So I'm sitting here thinking, why did that even shake me up? Because the chances of them even figuring out where I am, much less getting to my locked front gate, are slim and none. So I'm no longer upset about that at all. Let the Piggly Wigglies do their own thing. If they hate me, so be it. There are some people that you don't want to like you, and the Piggly Wigglers are a family that I don't want them liking me at all. I have nothing in common with them. Now, and then we get to last week. I'm laying on the floor sick. I'm so sick that I just could not function. I was like in the bed most of the week. And somebody I know, I don't even want to say their name because I don't want to give them any glory. Someone who I met through the anti-KJ community, who I've always considered a friend, contacted me to tell me that they were thinking about killing themselves. Why? Because Bobby the robot cat, another friend, had said something about them a year ago. So I stayed up beyond my bedtime when I was super, super, super sick. And I should have been laying in the bed with my poor husband who was trying to sleep, and talked to this person and tried to talk them out of what they were planning on doing. The most I managed to get out of them was that they would sleep on it and think about it the next day. I consider that a victory when you're talking about that sort of thing. The next day, I was actually upset the entire day, on top of everything else, worrying about this person. I had others that said, oh, don't worry about this person. This person pulls this on a regular basis. When they get pushback about anything, they immediately go into, I'm going to kill myself mode. And I was disgusted when I heard that, because here I was staying up when I was the super sickest I've been in a long, long time. And I know I'm always bitching about my asthma, so you guys are going to say, she's always bitching about her asthma. Probably I am, but this on a scale to 1 to 10 was like a 9.5. So I'm staying up. I'm letting her trauma dump all over me. And I'm listening to her, and I'm trying to tell her positive things. Just hang on, hang on. So she doesn't contact me at all that day. She disables her Twitter. She takes down her Yahoo account, her YouTube account, and she does all sorts of things. And I don't know if she's alive, dead, twisted up, whatever. I don't know her real name. I don't know her address, so I can't contact law enforcement and say, hey, you need a well check. She's been threatening suicide. And everyone is telling me this is pattern for her. So I'm listening to everybody and thinking, this is manipulation. When people use the threat of suicide as a means for avoiding being called out for their bad behavior, that's pure manipulation. So this person manipulated me when I was about at my lowest because of my physical things, and then some of the other idiotic things going on around me in the community. She did this. And then the very next day after that, she sent me a message and said, I can't believe you talked about me, blah, blah, blah. When she had gone online and told everyone she was thinking about committing suicide, she told Bobby the cat, she had told a number of people, and we were quite concerned for her. That was the context of us saying, oh my goodness, has anyone spoken to her? What's going on? Before I heard about the manipulation. So, in the interest of all that is truthful and honest, and the way I operate my life, I'm just going to put a moratorium, a boundary in place right now for me. I can't take any more trauma dumping off anybody. You know, when I wrote for no longer quivering for pathos. I got a lot of people that contacted me with their stories, and I went through a tremendous amount of trauma dumping. What is trauma dumping, I hear you ask? Well, let me read to you a description from Psychology Today. Trauma dumping is a term used to describe those intense, oversharing moments that can leave everyone involved feeling more distressed and helpless. People who trauma dump or over emote find it hard to process, filter, and regulate emotions, especially when their threat brain gets involved. Okay, and that's what I think happened with this creator. Her threat brain got involved. But at the same time, I was having my threat brain getting involved because of the Piggly Wiggly family calling for people to come here and kick my butt. Okay, that's me. Okay, not psychology today. Understanding the dynamics of trauma dumping can help you distinguish when to listen and when to say no. So here's the thing for me. I'm saying no. If you feel like you have significant trauma to process from your religious experience, my heart goes out to you. I pray for your healing. I pray for your wholeness and health. But you need to be talking to someone trained in that type of recovery. I am not trained or licensed to be a psychologist of any sort that deals with religious trauma or spiritual abuse. I've listened to people for ages. I've mostly gotten away from that lately. But lately, everyone around me is turning to me and trying to do this. I can't even begin to explain how difficult yesterday was trying to get this test and waiting to hear if he was going to have to be airlifted to San Jose to get surgery. At the same time, my cell phone was blowing up, where I had people trying to trauma dump people I barely knew, trying to just dump their stuff on me while I'm going through this. And I had somebody else that had asked me if I could promote their book on spiritual healing, who PM'd me 97 times, almost literally. So I'm having all of this going on at the same time. And it's just overwhelming. I started feeling traumatized yesterday because of all this going on and because of the situation with the suicide faker. And I'm just going to come out and say that because that's clearly what she does. That's her method. Get caught rather than taking responsibility, threaten suicide. And this morning she was complaining that people were looking her up online and was losing her jobs. Even though she doesn't use her real name online, she doesn't use her real name, and we don't even know for sure where she lives. So, crocodile tears of disingenuousness that are harming others. So that's my line in the sand. If you're going to contact me and say, I want to tell you all about my experience with XYZ church, and you proceed to hit me up with 97, I just can't. I can't right now. When I was a Stevens minister back at my old church, my old Methodist church, I did this as a service to the church. But I'm just at a place in my life where I just have my own stuff going on, my husband's health, my own health, recovery from my stroke, where I just can't anymore. This is just the end of that for me. Um, it's not that I don't want to hear some of your story. I just don't need you to vomit it all on me. I can't handle that any longer. And that's nothing against you. I hope healing so severely for you to have the kind of healing and remove. And at the same time, let me just warn you, as I keep talking about things are not linear, where goes a straight line, healing is not linear. It's not even like a stair step, okay? Healing from trauma, serious religious trauma, and any kind of trauma is more like waves. It's more like waves. And hopefully you get up here. But it's not uncommon to get triggered by things as you're going through this. Your job is to find out how you deal with these things, what turns that off. I've talked before quite a bit about having a plan, an anxiety plan. I always have a asthma plan, and it's easier because if you have a plan, you don't have to think, you just have to do the steps. I also have oh wow, huge branch just fell out of the tree right in front of me. I'm sorry. So I have my anxiety plan because a lot of times if you have really severe asthma like I was having last week and a little bit of the week before, what happens is your body dumps all this adrenaline in when this happens. And see, I'm sweating talking about it. And when it dumps all that anxiety, all that adrenaline in, and your blood pressure plummets, and your heart rate starts going crazy, it can throw you right into a anxiety attack, into a panic attack. And when it throws you into that panic attack, you better damn well have a plan, because if you don't, you're going to end up twitching on the floor or worse. I have my panic attack plan for my asthma. I have my asthma plan, and I work those things relentlessly, and it helped last week. I did a lot better with that level of asthma than I normally do as a result. So I'm going to encourage you, come up with a plan, come up with a panic plan, panic attack plan, come up with plans to deal with your trauma. But please, I can't hear any more of this. I can't cry anymore. I can't have any more anxiety for people. I can't be crying. I can't be staying up all night and praying for people. I just can't do that anymore. I just can't. I just don't have the energy for it, particularly after a day like yesterday. How traumatic was yesterday? I forgot my cane. I forgot my cane, and I had to walk around caneless all day, which was interesting, and I did better than I thought. But it was a pure panic thing. And as it is now, I've got my suitcase out, and I was ready to go to the hospital at any second to see him have the surgery. Now we're just in a holding pattern, and I just can't. You know, I saw that Claire did a video called Enough is Enough, Claire Bear, where she read something written by, I can't even think of the lady's name right now, but it was a beautiful piece, and she made some really good points. And sometimes we have to say enough is enough and say, I'm not going to participate any longer with these things, particularly if the thing harms you. And that's one thing that I've seen in I'm going to call it the anti-KJ community, even though I really prefer KJ truthers or the accountables. I like the accountables. It makes me laugh a little bit. Enough is enough. We don't need to be inventing stuff about her or anything. It's possible to not agree with people and not constantly obsess over them. There are just so many emotionally unhealthy things going on in the entire community. For me, I'm just going to say enough is enough is enough is enough. I can't hear anymore to anyone else's trauma right now. I have to get my husband and myself over this newest lump. I'm sorry. I love you guys, but I can't hear any more trauma for a while. It's just too much. Too much. And I have to send out a couple of sad emails and messages now. I had somebody that emailed me and demanded I do something about his daughter being mixed up in this, and I just can't. I just can't. So from now on, if you come to me and you try that, I'm going to refer you to your local mental health people. And yes, there are people out there in the mental health field that's all they do is help you leave unhealthy, overly involved, high demand religious organizations. That's all they do. That's what they get paid for. If you need some names, contact me. I can always put you together with somebody. But if you've PM'd me and I haven't answered you back, please know that I'm involved with my real life, with taking care of my husband, with my book, And I don't have an answer for you. I just don't. You tell a certain without a box of Kleenex if you're dying to trauma dump on someone, but she'll just use it as content. There are those too. So I want to tell you to be careful about that. Okay, I've gone on about this long enough. I got to go cook some lunch that he can eat. Because with a broken jaw, he's not able to eat very well. And it has to be very, very soft foods, at least until they figure out what to do about him and his jaw. Okay, you guys, I'll be back. I don't know when. If they put an orthopedic appliance on him today, probably tomorrow, the next day, something like that. Because I'm eager to talk about the righteous gemstones and the theology that comes out of that. Because this week's episode was the best representation of greed and evangelicalism I've ever seen. And some of the stories just rang so true. Some of them I know similar stories. So have a wonderful day. If you're traumatized and you're hurting, please seek help. Seek legitimate help. Unfortunately, that cannot be me.